Welcome to this week's Tim Talks. Thank you so much for joining. It's amazing. I was saying yesterday on FaceTime that it was 8 or 9, but Olivia and Holly Ann, this is our 12th straight Tim Talk, 12 straight weeks of trying to sharing best practices all over the country. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. And for the people that join week in and week out, thank you so much for your support. Listen, what we want to do this week is we want to do a quick recap of everything that not everything, but a lot of the things, a lot of the key points that we talked about in the last 12 weeks. We're going to be touching on a lot of those. But before we get into that, I really believe, in fact, I don't even think it's debatable. Maybe you would like to debate me on that and type in a question. That's fine. Speaking of typing in questions, before I get too far along, a little further into the podcast today, we are going to have both Sarah Fisher, the CMO at Don Franklin, and Jim Grodi, who is the advisor and consultant at Yark Automotive Group. Two amazing organizations. So I've talked about both of them on Tim Talks before, and they have done a lot of things right. So what I want to do is set the table a little bit, recap, and then bring them in as we give you the ability to ask some questions. So with that today, the first thing that we need to start about, or something that's truly on my heart, is leadership. I really believe that your dealership or your organization, all this stuff is great to talk about. We can talk about formless websites. We can talk about digital retailing. We can talk about sending emojis and communicating with people you talk to your friend, family, partner, coworker, whoever, and we can unpack all that stuff. But I really believe if you want to see success in your dealership, it's going to start with you. And, so many times I am on many different sales groups on Facebook, Millionaire Car Salesman, and many others. And I see some of these stories about new management. So I want to just park there for a little bit. We've all heard this. I know there's probably hundreds of all the people that see this podcast, and then share it and send it out, and then the dealership's represented. I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of dealers that are represented. And that being said, you're all going to probably nod your head when I get ready to talk about what I'm going to talk about. We have that brand new sales manager that was just promoted off of the floor, and automatically they immediately forget where they came from and start cussing salespeople, throwing paperwork, this type of thing, because I heard someone say this a couple of days ago, and I thought it was really good. Listen, power is intoxicating. Listen to me. Power is intoxicating. We give somebody a brand new title, we give them a new position. Power is intoxicating. And listen, intoxicated people make bad decisions. You hear me? The first thing we've got to do in your dealership, if you're a sales manager, if you're an F&I manager, if you're a general manager, heck, if you're a dealer principal, is lay the ego down, is truly bring smart people around you, truly serve your people. Because if somebody calls you boss, listen, this isn't a sermon. I'm speaking from the heart because I've seen it time and time again. Even true in our own company. And let me just say this: I have the privilege and the honor to kind of be the voice of our company at CarNow. But there's no I in anything. There are many people, whether it be Andy or Saurav or Radan or Aaron or Tom, all the part of the founding team that pour their lives into what we're doing. I'm just the one that has the privilege of speaking to you. It's funny, I did a podcast, and hopefully you heard it, with Glenn Pash, because we have seen some amazing growth, and our reputation's pretty good. and this isn't about a car now thing, this is about a leadership thing. But he asked about that, and one thing that I forgot to share with him that I want to share with you now, every leader, quite frankly, every person listening, even every salesperson, you need at least one person in your life. Listen to me. You need one person in your life that's going to tell you when your breath stinks. You hear what I'm saying? You need people. You don't need people around you. Sometimes we get put into positions and things are going well, and you surround yourself with people that are just going to tell you how pretty you are and your breath smells so good. Listen, if I need a Tic Tac, let me know. I mean, if I have a booger in my nose, if I should be so bold, I want somebody to tell me. You know, everybody needs a punching bag. You know, Andy, the founder, my partner and CEO of CarNow, kind of chuckled on that Glenn interview because, listen, when things happen in our own environment, in our own space, he's the person that I call, that I get my frustration out. We get level-headed together, and vice versa. And we come up and we calm down, and then we go ahead and then we talk calmly to either our people or the particular situation that we're around. So number one, before any of this works, before we websites, clicks, all this other stuff, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure that when you get out of bed every morning, your head's right, your heart's right. Understand that no matter what position that you have, power is intoxicating, and intoxicated people make bad decisions. I know there's a lot of people out there that have been intoxicated before, and you've made some pretty dumb decisions. Amen. Right? So let's not get intoxicated. If someone calls us boss, let's humble ourselves. Let's understand that our people, that we work for them, and make sure that, listen, I'm speaking from my heart now, and make sure you surround yourself with encouraging people that truly care about you and the objective that you're going to share. Because guys, that is, you can't even put a price tag on it. Having that person in your life, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, again, but I really wanted to touch base on that there. Let's truly make sure that we are good from the inside out. You know, I gave, and I've talked about it a couple of times at our annual meeting. We have an annual meeting here in Atlanta. See the beautiful stadium behind us and the beautiful office that nobody goes to anymore, just me. So I'm enjoying the space and riding scooters back and forth here, having a great time. But our annual meeting, if I could just give you 3 things before we jump in to unpacking. I want to be an encourager. I want, whether you use this or not, I want to encourage you. I want to love on you and give you something today that you can take away, that all of us can be better than we were when we came in. And I'm a football fan. I love football. I love the sport. I love soccer as well. But there's a show that really, I watched every episode probably twice, and some of you probably have too, called Friday Night Lights. And Coach Taylor would always tell his team when he got fired up for that game or fired up for that so they'd have a good practice, he would always say, clear eyes, full hearts, and the team together would say, can't lose. And then he'd say, clear eyes, full hearts, and then the team together would say, can't lose. Listen, I'm just going to give you a few quick things, leaders, salespeople even on this call, dealer principals on this call, general managers, CMOs on this call. I'm going to give you just some nuggets that you can maybe put together in your brain that has helped us grow as a company, share as a company, and get better together. No one's perfect, but it helps. Number one, clear eyes. On a daily basis, listen to me, on a daily basis, do you see clearly? And what I mean by that, we talked about football. After every game and every college game on Saturday, even every pro game on Sunday, film day is on Monday. Don't surround yourself with people that are just going to tell you how pretty, even if you crushed it, because we have gone through in the last 100 days some mountaintops and some valleys. We started off in a valley, and it's crazy. And the good news now is we can remember, and listen, everybody's going to nod their head on the other end of this monitor, I know. We went from March, oh my gosh, in March, it was, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? the sky is falling, not belittling what's going on with the dear people that are sick with COVID. Please don't misunderstand me, but I'm talking about our automotive space. Oh my gosh, sky's falling, can't sell any cars. You're going to talk to Jim Grodi and Sarah here in just a little bit, and both of them told me their Aprils, and I believe April was up 130%. So we went from, oh my gosh, are we going to sell cars ever again, to, oh my gosh, this is the best month ever, to, oh my gosh, I'm running out of inventory. As now dealers are scrambling why pre-owned is so important. So I want to make sure and encourage you to every single day, listen to me, every single day, make sure you have clear vision, clear eyes, a clear path on where you want to go, and clear vision about where you've been. Learn what marketing added worked. Learn what CTA worked, and then build on that. And then the stuff that doesn't work, cut it out. Cut it out. And then dump more into what's working. So clear eyes, number one. Full heart. This is a big one. This is very, very important to me when we talk about a pure heart, because this is you personally. You know, how do you have a pure heart? You need to wake up every day thankful. Something happens to your mental psyche. Listen, I'm not preaching, but I have to have a quiet time every morning. Before anybody gets up, before the sun comes up, I have my quiet time, and I make sure that things are right in my brain. I take, as we say in the car business, a checkup from the neck up. So make sure that you wake up thankful. And number two, make sure that you are grateful for what you have. Grateful for what you have. Thankful and grateful. Listen, it's very difficult to yell at somebody, to think about somebody the wrong way when you wake up with a thankful heart, when you're grateful, right? And number three, be authentic. That's what it means to be and have a full heart. You're thankful, you're grateful, and you are authentic. Be you. There's only one you. This isn't a self-help. I'm not trying to be Tony Robbins, but I'm telling you, man, be you. I can remember when I first had the opportunity to speak and communicate on different platforms, both in the business and out of the business. You know, I would listen and listen and listen and listen to speakers that I thought a lot of. So I started mimicking, you know, how they would talk, or how they would either use their hands or this, or even take some gestures. And my wife looked at me. You talk about having that sounding board, you know, in your ear. My wife looked at me, and only as she said, only as she could say was, Tim, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's not you. So guys, be authentic. There's only one you. And number three, you can't lose. Guys, when you put those together, when you put clear eyes, clear vision, what's working in my marketing campaign, what worked, what didn't work, you have a full heart. And number three, you can't lose. When you put all those together, we've said it on this show so many times, 3 words that changed my life that I want to pour into you right now. 3 words that changed my life. Just for today. I have it written everywhere. Just for today. No one's promised tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. Let's look at yesterday. Let's learn from it, and let's get better from it. But guys, no one is smarter than everyone, and let's do everything that we can to dominate our day. And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about absolute domination. I want to bring on my friends. And the great thing about this is these guys, and Sarah and Jim, they truly have become my friends. We spend so much time on the phone together. Sarah in particular sometimes keeps me on the phone to about 11 o'clock at night. And my wife, you know, she says, is that Jim from State Farm? And Sarah doesn't wear khaki, so that's a whole other conversation. You know, Sarah was one of the first people that called me way back in March. And her dealership, Don Franklin, let me just love on her a little bit. Don Franklin was doing incredible things. Kentucky, for the most part, is still closed down in a lot of spaces. She achieved nearly 90% of her year-over-year objective. And only the last week, I think this was April, she can correct me, April, maybe May, April, where she achieved 90% of her objective. And listen, and salespeople were not allowed to take ups. None. So we want you to ask her some questions. And then in May, they achieved nearly 130% year-over-year objectives. So we're going to open up the lines. We're going to open up, now that we've got our fundamental basis and our head is right and our heart is right and we're ready to be humble and serve our people, you know, we're going to ask some questions. So I want you to ask some questions in the chat. We're going to bring Sarah on, and Jim Grodi. Now, Jim has become a dear friend. Now, the great thing about Jim is Jim, for many, many years, I won't mention the product, but Jim was on one of the founding launch teams of a particular company, and I was one of the first dealers that he pitched digital retailing to when I was in with Lexus. I think this is 6 or 7 years ago. But Jim has done a phenomenal job with the Yark Automotive Group, and some of the great things that he has done, like taking forms off his website. If you know anything about Northwest Ohio in the Toledo area, the Yark Group, I believe they have the biggest FCA store, and they just do a fabulous job. So with that, I want to unmute, if I could, Jim, and unmute Sarah. So if you would just unmute, and if there's any questions as we ask them right now, you can send them directly to me. But first of all, or in the chat window. But first of all, welcome Jim and welcome Sarah to yet another Tim Talk.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hello, Tim. Thanks for having me. And by the way, your breath does not stink. I think it's just fine.
Hey, if you can smell my breath from Atlanta to Toledo, I've got a problem. I've got a problem. So let's just get right into it. You know, I know people have questions. Actually, we've already got one from Brian. Let me ask this real quick. And again, we just want to recap some of the successes, you know, because we have covered a lot of stuff over the last 12 weeks. I mean, we had David Kane. And you actually, both of you, if I was to pick two dealers in the country that exemplified this statement, it would be both Yark and both Don Franklin. Experience is the new brand. You know, Jim, you were the first person that I know of that actually put digital retailing assigned parking spaces out front. And at first, it took a while for people to adjust, but you would have your BDC and your internet people say, hey, just pull right up front to the quick buy section with a beautiful sign right there. So you were an early adopter there. Sarah Fisher, very early, called me in March, you know, coined the Franklin Fast Pass well over almost 2 years ago, but brought it in to where when you go on a Don Franklin website, that Fast Pass logo is actually their CTA, and just done phenomenal with it. But let's get to Brian's question, which is a long one, so I'll paraphrase. We have been on your digital retailing tool for about a year. We just added Convert Now and Search about 4 weeks ago. We have been very pleased with the results. My question is, with every dealer in our area advertising digital retailing, how can we, this is gonna be a good one for both of you, how can we stand out above everyone else in regards to digital retailing and formless website? I don't see it as formless website, but more of assist answers on our site compared to other dealers across town who would take a couple of hours to ask a question. Who wants to take that, Jim or Sarah?
You know, I don't know really, you know, when you look at this, I mean, us personally, you know, we just started with Convert Now and here at Yark, and you know, there's just such a, you know, just a month ago, a year ago, we were trying to, I might not answer the question the right way, but let me kind of circle around here. We were trying to reduce the CTAs we had on our site, mainly because of the fact that they really were becoming obsolete. Their form fills, slow rolling. You talk about answering quickly, being in the moment. It just didn't happen. You guys came out with Convert Now, and we jumped right on them. The scheduled test drive, you know, pertaining to your website, get pre-approved, value your trade. You guys, I love the way you allow us to put whatever we like on them too. That makes it easier. Kind of fits the culture of the dealership. And like Sarah, we've got Yark Quick Buy. as a CTA as well. And that's our digital retailing piece that goes to buy now. But the beautiful thing is, I think what happens is it allows these CTAs with the AI backup from CarNow and your team of BDC agents, the staff. I think it allows people to be in the moment. I like to say in the moment. They click on there, and if your staff's busy or whatever's going on, somebody's got a credit question, they go in to get pre-approved. It creates an avenue, a funnel where the customer can go. It's so smooth. And that's a great idea. And I thought it was a great idea when you first showed it to me. And someone that's concerned about their trade, it gives them the funnel to come in through the trade. And someone that just wants to take a test drive, it gives them a great funnel to come in through the test drive. Here's the part I didn't know about. Here's the part I didn't expect. What happens is you get somebody, a great example, somebody gets in, get pre-approved, and they get their FICO score. It's a beautiful setup, by the way you guys have set that up. And within a few seconds, they get a nice AI treatment that's just smooth, kind of walks them through it. They get their score, and then slowly, that same customer gets asked, do you have a trade-in? I mean, what smart AI is that? And even the salesmen don't even go that, aren't that smooth, and especially persistent. So boom, yes, I do have a trade-in. Year, make, model, how many miles. Wow, you're just walking through the trade-in. Now they get a trade-in. Now they've got an appraisal on their trade. I mean, I don't know how you can get any smoother. The beautiful thing is if that customer has 10 or 15 minutes right now, to me, again, you're in the moment with them. They want connection right now. I think that's a higher priority than skill sometimes. But the funny thing is, I don't want to take away from your AI or your agents. They're pretty skillful, as we all know.
So Jim, how would you say, because I know you do two things. You have Yark Quick Buy, but you also have a piece that I think a lot of people, Brian's asking, how did you stand out? And Sarah, if you're available, I'd love you to chime in or poke and get in here, because you really, you've really stood out here. But you also know we're going through, I have some feedback. I think I might hold on.
All right.
Yeah, Sarah's having some technical difficulties. I apologize. But you know, the biggest part, we've gone, like I said, from, oh my gosh, record months to I'm running out of inventory. Would you explain how you marketed, because you're one of the biggest Kelley Blue Book buying centers, I believe, in the area. And you took technology and you took that quick buy. Is it called something else? I can't remember. What do you guys call that to get?
Oh, YarkBuysCars.com.
YarkBuysCars.com. And how many, and again, look, I'm sure there may be competitors listening. I don't know, probably not. A lot of people from, again, we've people from Poland listening in.
Yeah.
But, how did you, because you how many cars do you guys buy through that process on a monthly basis? Because every dealer wants to know now, how do I buy cars? They can't buy them in the lane anymore because they're through the roof. How do you market to people to trade their cars in?
Well, that's a good question. We do a good job. We do buy a ton of cars. And I mean, it's just, it's a lot of advertising, a lot of SEO, SEM, a lot of commercials. We love that you let us white label. We white labeled even Yark Buys Cars. That's our, our TV, radio, boom, online, our Buy Now, our Car Now, and our Convert Now is all put together as Yark Quick Buy. And we do the same thing, SEO, SEM, Facebook, TV, radio, your typical media advertising. As far as, I tell you that the crazy part is, Tim, a lot of dealerships get discouraged because we've been doing this for 2 years, a little over 2 years. And that's the tough part, is bringing that team on, getting to inspire the managers to get a believability to the buy-in, the easier way of doing business. And I think we plan on 2 years to get there, and I think we're there right now. And we've seen great growth. Just to give you some numbers, just like I was saying, you look at last month, it was a record month for us in sales. It's our best May ever. So it's astonishing. When you look at, even comparing your tools, Message Now, we were up 65%, over the month before. And I got to attribute that to some of the CTAs. They were running 20, 30, 35 a week of some of those CTAs. And that's strong. That's some good, and they're good leads. you know, so.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it all in.
Thank you, Jim. That is, and we're going to come back to you in just a second. Sarah, are you technically where you can talk? I know there was some background noise, but I think you're good now.
Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect. So Sarah, two quick questions, you know, because we've talked about this for obvious reasons, which we'll keep, but how do you, number one, how do you differentiate yourself? Because you're the largest dealer group in Kentucky. And the fact that you obviously differentiated yourself, and I want you to speak on that a little bit, because that's what people want to know, because everybody and their brother now has got some widget on their website, right? So number one, how do you differentiate yourself? And number two, what changes, here's another question that I'll just tie into it. What changes have you made since COVID-19 or at the beginning of COVID-19 that you will continue within your organization indefinitely based on the results that you've already seen? So let's start unpacking. How in the world did you differentiate yourself with everybody and their brother having some kind of widget?
Well, it's all about the execution of the Fast Pass, the Franklin Fast Pass. That's our white label for our buy now tool. But I'll say it's kind of a conglomerate of things. It's definitely like everything had worked hand in hand whenever COVID hit. One of the best things we could have ever done was be proactive about it. As soon as they called the state emergency, we were working on an execution plan to get how we were going to adapt and how we were going to be able to keep selling vehicles throughout this time. You know, because at the time we didn't know that they were going to shut the showrooms down or not. But we worked really hand in hand with our director of fixed ops and our sales managers, and we put a plan in place that was flexible, that could change, you know, per location, because we have some more rural areas versus some, you know, more suburb. But we had sales and service work together, right? So that sales could look for those service customer opportunities. Like they would have to pre-plan their day, look at the customers who were coming in, see if they could flip them into a new vehicle. Communication, though, I would say this, and I'll say it over and over and over again, this is for any business, any industry, whatever. Communication is such a huge part of being successful, because if you're not communicating, if this to your, like, let's say the dealer principal is not communicating to his general manager or his COO, and the COO is not talking to the general manager, and the general manager is not talking to the sales manager, and the sales manager is not talking to the salesperson, I mean, heck, it goes from the receptionist to the janitor, right? Because everybody has to be on the same page. And you want your experience that you are selling to the consumer through your messaging, you want that communication to be known not only in the inside of your dealership, because you are executing on the outside, but making sure that everybody from the top down to the bottom knows exactly how you're operating and what your main goal is. You know, Eddie Franklin was definitely 100% on board with us with our execution and our strategy. You know, he was putting his foot on the gas, so he wanted everybody else to put their foot on the gas. And so leading by example, what you were saying earlier, is definitely key, being that servant leader. One of my first calls when all this went down, it was literally calling you and saying, we need to schedule an in-home test drive, and we need that service pickup and delivery. PTAs added to our chat that automatically popped up. So executing the Franklin Fast Pass was huge. The messaging was key, though. So I'm going to kind of touch base on that first question that you had asked, Jim. How you message if you white label or however you do, how you message and create that commercial that you're going to push out to your consumers, you've got to be directed, and you got to keep it simple. You have to inform consumers on where to go and
I
what
have that
to do.
commercial. It's 30 seconds. Let me just show everybody. Again, I know a lot of people are logged in, but let me just show this real quick. And exactly, I've used it in many, many different presentations. What she's talking about, visual is better. It's quick and to the point. Look at this 30-second spot that she ran. And I want you to notice the branding. And quite frankly, Yark did this exact same thing in Toledo with Yark Quick Buy. They branded it. The customers have got to see it in TV, radio, coming into your dealership, the button on your website, everything starts the same. You want to talk about how they achieved that during COVID. This is why. So let me just go ahead and show you very quickly this 30-second spot that brings everything together.
For over 50 years, Don Franklin has been serving Kentucky with the convenience of 24 locations and over 5,000 vehicles to choose from. Now we're making it even easier with the Franklin Fast Pass. Find a vehicle, click on the Franklin Fast Pass, and start building your deal your way. Choose your payment, value your trade, and get approved, all within the comforts of, well, wherever you are. You can then either come to your Don Franklin dealership or we can deliver the vehicle to you. Franklin Fast Pass. Fast, easy, no obligation. Conveniently located at DonFranklinAuto.com.
So I think that gives everybody a great visual, but do you want to comment on that? And I think the power of Sarah is Sarah came, she wasn't from the automotive space. She was from the advertising space. So I wanted everybody to see that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but continue on that theme of that one constant point, you know, to differentiate yourself and differentiate. Here's the difference is because most other dealers, they're just going to put the widget on the website, widget, I can't even talk. Wascally Wabbit, the widget on their website, say that 3 times fast, and just hope it works like the Field of Dreams. You've got to be all in with your advertising and everything else. So I'll shut up and Sarah, finish your thought.
Yeah, no, it's just about being directed, keeping the message simple and telling consumers what to do. You know, that's how it's going to bring that tool to life and not just be a button that they're like, well, what's this? I mean, if we just literally had the Franklin Fast Pass on our website, it would look like a logo. Like no one would know that they could click on it and then build their own deal, right? It's the same concept that we did with the service pickup and delivery commercial that we ran, which was another big one that came right after the Fast Pass because we were wanting people to know that we would go pick up their vehicle for service. There was that option during COVID. And it was basically the same thing. We used Eddie Franklin, who's our owner, you know, in the commercial at first, but we showed them, just like we did with the Fast Pass, this is how you schedule your delivery and pickup. Here's where you go on our website. Being that obvious, that blatant, like you don't have to have a fancy, you know, $10,000 commercial. It's just being very directive. And people will, you know, they'll learn how to use it because they'll have it. But as long as you have the right marketing strategy in place, you have to make sure that the platforms that you use and the message that you put on each platform are consistent. So the Fast Pass and the schedule, your service delivery was on every single photo overlay, was on all the websites, child sites, group sites. It was in all of our TV marketing, OTT, digital. That was being consistent across every single platform, whether it was third-party, television, or paid search, whatever it was. It all had the same message. And when you do that, you're going to have a higher frequency, which you're going to have a higher return. I mean, I'll just tell you our results from Car Now, Buy Now. You know, we had those added. I'm not joking. And Jim, I don't even think I've told you these numbers yet, but we went from an average with Car Now and Buy Now of $140,000 a month revenue in Q1. Q2, and that's just including April and May, Q2, our average was $300,000 in revenue. That's a 112% increase. Guys, like that is a combination of everything. That's having, like broadcasting, marketing, like what to do with these, with our platform, and then having those available ready and having it like all work together. 112% increase in revenue from just that tool.
And there's a couple questions I want to get to, but this is what listen to me very closely. This is what I want you to get right now. And this isn't rah-rah Car Now. But these are the type of results. And I'm going to put you on the spot because I already know the numbers. Many of you, Donovan, by the way, Donovan, I'm going to get to your questions. So give me just 1 second. Many of you have seen reports from vendors and told you how you've crushed it. And then you're thinking, well, how have I crushed it? Listen to this. Sarah, how many cars did the entire Don Franklin Group sell in 2018 versus 19? When you started putting the... Go ahead.
17,000. Hang on. Sorry. 17,000. Like 17.5, let's just say.
How many cars after putting all this, and obviously this has really exploded, this is pre-COVID, but from 18 to 19, how many cars did you increase?
Well, keep in mind too, though, this didn't go on everybody's site until like May, June
True.
is when it got implemented.
This
So
is
it's like half a
roughly
year.
9 months, but go ahead.
Right. So we sold like 20,320.
3,000 car increase, guys, and that number is going to be crushed this month or this year. Donovan asked, because OTT is near and dear to your heart, Sarah, so I know you're the one that asked this. Donovan Hall asked, with the talk of companies becoming a large mainstream competitor like Purple in the mattress industry, that's a great point, Donovan, great point. And by the way, Purple has 1 CTA, but that's a whole discussion. Have you had much thought or practice with OTT digital advertising to potentially replace traditional television advertising? Sarah, I know you're passionate about this. Will you want to answer that question?
Yeah, so I would use OTT as like an add-on, right? Because you got to look at your market and you got to look at what people own. You got Hulu, you got Apple Swing, you got Roku, you've got Fire, you've got all these different channels on OTT on its own, right, that you can advertise with. So you've got to be very strategic. My biggest thing is that broadcast television is still going to reach 100% of the DMA. People who use OTT have to watch like they either through their antenna or whatever it is, but they still, you know, watch broadcast through that as well. So you're still reaching 10 times more people with broadcast than you are with OTT. OTT, the way you need to figure that is you can strategically drill down to specific zip codes even, but you behaviorally and you geographically target, and you want people to, like, so if you're an auto dealer in Atlanta, you're going to want to go after those auto intenders who are still searching for a vehicle, who have the intent to purchase in that market. And you can, if you want to go 20 miles out, if you want to go 30, 50, whatever it is, that's your target area. You drill it down just like you would on an audience targeting campaign or addressable geofencing campaign. That's how you have to think of OTT as a digital platform. Broadcast television is not going anywhere. Cable, yeah. I mean, cable, you do have the opportunity to do the interconnect, right? But if there's one thing I would cut, it'd be cable and radio.
So thank you for that, Sarah.
Like each of the platforms work in different ways, right? Radio is more of a reminder medium. Your smaller rural towns, depending on where your dealership is, radio can be useful. But as far as like getting your message in front of people, being consistent and being strategic, but there are certain agencies out there, and I have ran across a few of them, and it drives me bonkers. Whatever you do, do not buy an all-day rotator. Please, 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 please. If I can say one thing, you have to be more strategic than that. But no, broadcast, OTT, those two are a great combination punch, especially when you got your digital with your paid search, your social media to back it up. But if you're going to have a commercial on air, whether it's, OTT and broadcast, have it on social media, have it on your YouTube channel, have it on Instagram. Make sure that it's everywhere that you are.
That's great. And Donovan, if you will reach out to me directly, I want to answer one other question. But you also have a question about ConvertNow being personalized. Please reach out to me and we will, yes, we can personalize things, but I want to get more specific on what you're asking for on your pages. And last question out there that I see, and again, guys, you can reach out to us at carnow.com or have a quick chat, Tim at carnow.com, Olivia at carnow.com, and ask us any questions. Again, we're not the great thing is we are bringing you, and I see the comments continue to come in. I just want to thank you for just an environment on Tim Talks where no one's saying we're smarter, but we're coming together, we're getting smarter as what you can do, or what Sarah has done in her PMA, what Jim has done in his PMA, and you can try to duplicate that. And guys, at the end of the day, and they're tracking probably 5,000 more cars than they did. when they started, before they started this entire campaign, and Sarah in 2018. Guys, that'll pencil. That'll pencil. You can't go to the grocery store or Kroger like is in Kentucky and Georgia and get groceries and say, you know, how do I want to pay for it? I want to pay for it with VDP clicks. That dog don't hunt. You sell by selling and servicing automobiles. One last question, and the question is for Jim. Hopefully you didn't go to sleep, Jim. But the question is, Jim, how long until you saw results from reforming and redesigning your form fills into straight, you know, the AI flows that led obviously to your DR?
You know what? It's amazing. It was immediate. It wasn't even a few days. I mean, you know, just a you know, scheduled test drive, which we started a few months ago. We've only been on a few months. It's not rocket science. It's just laid out well. I think the first 11 scheduled test drives we had, we sold 9 of them. That was like, we were freaking out, like, what's going on here? And it just was smooth. The guys, like I said, our team's been doing it for a couple of years, so they're pretty, you know, pretty into it and well trained, and they accept it and they do move forward with it very well. So our staff is pretty smooth with this stuff. So that being said, when we put it in, it just kind of flowed. And then value your trade, same thing. We just started that in the last 6-8 weeks. And again, the first week, I think we sold 7 off value your trade. It's attribution is sometimes difficult, but on these, most of the time you can kind of, you know, track them down and get
on that. A car now page on that. You know, we saw that, and with taking over these CTAs, we're actually going to boost our reporting is getting totally revamped to pinpoint these particular CTAs. So we're really excited about that, and that is coming. So as we land this plane, first of all, I'm excited to you know, be able to bring, again, not coming in a pious posture, but as a learned posture, as we all get better together. We're going to do more of this stuff. I want to bring some of you guys. Keith, I see your questions. Donovan, I see your questions. You know, I want to bring more people on eventually. I think we're scheduled out to, I guess, August 4th now. As Tim Talks continues to grow, we're so blessed that there's actually interest in wanting to get better. So let me, as we land this plane, I just want to thank you again, Jim. I want to thank you, Sarah. Again, you've become dear friends of mine and always been there to answer the phone when I have questions, as we all get better together. So thank you guys for that. As our time is running out, Olivia or Holly Ann, do we have a winner this week for DMSC? So we are going to continue to give away tickets to DMSC. Again, this is including all this breakouts. You know, when you go to conferences like this, the great part about these conferences, and there's even talk about other big conferences that are going virtual, at least this year. But the positive is there's no planes to get on, no hotels to get on. You can't get in any trouble, but you can put your team and your dealership around, and you can watch all of these breakout sessions, because when you're live, you can only get to 1 or 2. Now you'll be able to see them all. Again, keep an open mind. No one's smarter than everyone as we get better together. And the winner this week is, drum roll please, Brad Rogers. Brad Rogers, Patterson Automotive Group. Thank you so much for listening to Tim Talks. We are so encouraged just by you showing up each and every week. And we are so excited to have you. And now you are going to be the rock star of your entire automotive group, because you're going to be able to bring this to them. So we want to thank you for that. Actually, Sarah is still answering questions. OTT for behavioral broadcast reaches more audience. Listen, Keith, if you have other questions, please reach out to me. Sarah has helped, and I know Jim has as well. Dealers, other CMOs, other dealer principals, as we create this environment to truly help. I can connect you with Sarah and see how we can all serve each other. Again, Jim and Sarah, thank you so much, guys. Tune in next week for Tim Talks. Thank you so much. God bless. And as always, no one's smarter than everyone. And let's always continue to get better together. We'll see you next week. Thank you.